morning, everybody. My name is Joe Shanatico. I'm the chair of the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce and also vice president at Salem 5 Bank right here in Lynn. Thank you all for coming. The chamber is so excited to have this forum for our local business owners. And one of the things that's pretty cool that I think I heard a couple of years ago, or more recently than that always surprises me, is that there's around 2,000 businesses in Lynn. That's a lot. And they bring so much to the city. Everyone always knows the basics, that they contribute to the economy. They bring jobs to the local community. But one thing that's also lost in that is the fact that they give so much back to the local community as well, to nonprofits and other small organizations to the community. And I think that's important. And it's great that we have an opportunity today for our local business owners to have this forum and listen to what the candidates for mayor have to say today. I want to thank our sponsors. I'd like to thank both our candidates who are here today. I appreciate your time. And I'd like to remind everybody that the election's on November 2nd, so if you have some time in your busy schedule to go vote, please do so. And I'd like to send it over to one of our sponsors, Glenn Morris from Morris Architects. Thank you.
Good morning. I think we have a procession of chairs here. I'm Glenn Morris, chairman of Morris Architects, probably most famously known in Lynn as the architect for the Oxford Street Grill and the Blue Ox. So keep going there and eating there. I'm also the chair of the Economic Development and Planning Committee of the Chamber and on the board. The only thing I want to say today is elections for mayor, for school committee, for city council, for town council are really the foundation of American democracy. It's so important that we not just wait until every 4 years to get out to vote. We need to vote every time there's a local election and build up our democracy. Thank you. And now, I always wanted to be Ed McMahon. And now, Colin. Colin Codner, the Executive Director of the Chamber.
Good morning, guys. Oh, come on. I heard one person say good morning. I don't really do a floor show, so I just want to get us moving, introduce candidates Jared Nicholson and Darren Seer. All right, Darren, one or two fingers? One or two fingers? Two. We're going to start with Darren Seer today. Darren, we're going to go through, the format's going to be, they're going to take a couple of minutes and introduce themselves. I'm going to facilitate some candidate questions. After that, we're going to allow the two candidates to ask each other one question. And then we're going to have some closing remarks from each of the candidates. So, Darren, please.
Thank you. I've grown up here in Lynn. I've experienced the Lynn life experience. I've lived here for 62 years. Grew up off Eastern Ave, which is in East Lynn. Grew up on Herschel Street. Went to Avon School, as did my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my sons. 5 generations. My wife's from West Lynn. She can go back at least 3 generations being a part of the city of Lynn. I think it is the most diverse city in the whole wide world. And when I say I've lived the Lynn experience, went through Lynn Public Schools, Avon, Easton Junior High, graduating from LVTA. Played sports, baseball, hockey, football, basketball. When my kids got old enough, actually when I got married, my wife and myself decided to live here in Lynn and raise our family here. I built a house up on Morton Hill Ave, which is 4 streets over from where I grew up. Been involved in many different community things. I ran at Holy Family Church, the Italian Festival for a few years, been involved in the Millennia Group, also working towards, other community things, PTA, been involved in so many things in the city and so many different clubs, even the Brotherhood, the Masons, the Knights of Columbus, worked with many, many people in this city. I worked in the mayor's office back in the 90s for 4 years. Been a city councilor for 16. Been the council president for 4.5. I've worked on over 20 budgets. I have many years of experience working in city government. And all that experience has given me the opportunity to be able to face whatever challenge comes our way, whether it's $11 million deficit, which we were facing 4 years ago, looking at receivership. I sat down with the then Mayor Judy Flanagan Kennedy for hours every single day, and we worked on a solution. We come up with the $11 million. We didn't raise anybody's taxes. We didn't lay anybody off. There was less than $1 million sitting in the reserve account at the time. Today, there's $28 million sitting in the reserve account. I've spent hundreds of hours in the last 4 years meeting with and talking with developers, different business owners. I got to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of the way the city has been going the last 20 years. It's been the same old same. I'm tired of walking into the train station and seeing the butt end of the train leaving. I'm tired of hearing about the blue line coming here and all this other stuff. I'm tired of looking at the condition of downtown, the filth that's throughout our city. I think these are all things that we can fix. I want to bring real development into the city that we can all benefit from that's not going to raise our taxes. I think we can do a lot better than we've been doing. And I am the person that's capable of doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared Nicholson.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. First, thank you so much to the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity, for hosting us this morning, and thank you to all the sponsors, everyone who put this together for this opportunity. My name is Jared Nicholson. I'm running for mayor to help with the recovery from COVID-19 and to push for growth that benefits the whole city, that includes all of us. I'm currently a member of the Lynn School Committee in my 3rd term. My day job, I'm a law professor at Northeastern. I'm also a dad to my young son, Henry, who will be 2 a week from today, and a husband to my wife, Catherine, who is a nurse midwife at Mass General. I got started in Lynn founding a legal aid practice to work with low-income entrepreneurs and small businesses in support of community growth. And from the beginning, I saw the importance of the connection between education and economic development to the city's future, and was elected to the school committee 6 years ago. I'm really excited that in this race for mayor, I'm able to draw on the deep experience that I have in education from my work on the school committee, from my work in higher education, and the deep experience I have on city issues like housing, economic development, from my work as a lawyer and a law professor. I'm running for mayor because I believe I have the skills and experience to provide opportunities for inclusive growth, to both create opportunities for growth and to make those opportunities inclusive. I bring a fresh perspective from my work as a lawyer and a law professor. I've worked on those issues like housing and economic development here in Lynn, and also with other cities as well. I've worked with businesses of all sizes from all over the world. I also have a record of achieving results right here in Lynn. In my work on the school committee, I worked on starting a wrestling team in Lynn, put together a team to create an opportunity that was missing for our city's youth. I've also worked with the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce on projects like zoning reform, supporting diverse businesses, and done a lot of work with small businesses of all types. I also bring a record of being there for people when they need it, as someone who is open and accessible and dependable. I've done that time and time again in my work on the school committee, working with students, with teachers, with families, particularly working with families. it's been really helpful the fact that I speak Spanish and I'm able to work with Spanish-speaking families directly as my constituents. I'm excited to be bringing that record and the vision that we're building together to City Hall. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Look forward to discussing.
All right, Darren, this question to start with you, and then we'll turn it over to Jared. The business and community in Lynn includes over 2,000 businesses and employs a tremendous workforce, many of whom do not live in Lynn, yet contribute to the community and the economy. As mayor, how do you envision engaging directly with the business community regarding policy, planning, and your outreach strategy?
So, as I said, I've lived here my whole life. GE, Raytheon, Norelco, Nisson's Bakery, these were all factories that supported the city of Lynn by creating jobs. And a lot of the people that lived here lived in a lot of the multifamily houses that are throughout the city, Ward 1, the Diamond District area. And I would love to see people that own businesses that work in the city stay living here, but we have to give them a reason why. We have to fix the reputation of the city. We start by cleaning up the downtown area, by bringing people into the community with disposable incomes, by bringing development, because I look at development as the future industry of the city of Lynn. We're talking about 40, 50, possibly 60 years worth of development that can happen, billions, if not trillions of dollars that can come in that's going to generate high-paying jobs. The only way we're going to break the cycle of poverty in the city of Lynn is through better education and higher-paying jobs. There's a national issue going on with housing, and that's a big issue. But if we keep bringing more people into the community that can't afford to live and support the businesses, that doesn't make sense. What we have to do is take care of the people that live here, clean up our streets, clean up our downtown, and we have to have meetings, monthly meetings with our businesses, with all the different community members, whether it be a neighborhood that's in Eastland or a neighborhood in Westland, because they all have their own issues. I was up in Ward 1 the other day, and a woman asked me about what would I do to create walking places to go to visit, stores or whatever. I can't see that far. Is that saying I'm done? Okay, thank you. I'm getting old, and I admit it.
It's quite all right. The second one is, please finish. Jared, the same question. The business community in Lynn includes over 2,000 businesses and employs a tremendous workforce, many of whom do not live in Lynn, yet contribute to the community and the economy. As mayor, how do you envision engaging directly with the business community regarding policy, planning, and your outreach strategy?
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky to have a very vibrant business community, and it's really important to be including our businesses in conversations about the city and our plans for the city. I think that supporting small local businesses is a key strategy for inclusive growth, to make sure that we are growing in a way that benefits the city. So I think one area where is going to be a big focus in terms of engaging local businesses is the city's planning department. The city went too long without a full-time, engaged, dedicated planning department. I think it's a really positive development that we have one now, that's been made permanent. And now we need to build that into our decision-making DNA to be using the planning department. And it's definitely going to be a responsibility of the planning department to be out and engage with local businesses. And I think that's imperative for the tremendous opportunities that we have on the waterfront, the downtown Lynn, and also out in the neighborhoods where our local business local businesses stitch our neighborhoods together and provide the life of our community. And so I think the planning department building that into their processes that they're running and finding creative ways to reach local businesses. That means being creative about the how people are reached out to in terms of communications. You have to be mindful of the fact that a local business owner is spending a lot of their time on their business, if it's a retail, keeping their shop open, meeting with clients, whatever it is, and need to be flexible about being able to reach people in different ways, in creative ways. And part of that is technology and evolving with the times, making sure that people who would rather participate online have an opportunity to do so. But for us to really take advantage of this opportunity, we absolutely need to include local businesses and get their input. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Jared, you're going to start. Last month, the City Council passed the Housing Lynn Plan, which contains 5 strategy recommendations and a series of action steps, some of which are more controversial than others. Please elaborate on your approach for addressing the various recommendations within this report.
Great, thank you so much. I think that addressing the cost of housing is absolutely a top priority for the city going forward, and that the Housing Lynn Plan was a result of 2 years of work, of collaboration, getting input from a really wide range of stakeholders, from developers to landlords to tenants to people who work in housing, community members, and put the result of that was a solid plan that was thrilled to see was supported unanimously by the planning board yesterday, and was supported strongly by the city council in an 8-2 vote. I think it's going to be up to the mayor to implement that plan. And the thing about a plan is that the point is to get everybody on the same page that this is an important issue and have a toolbox of potential tools to use to get at this and address this important issue, the cost of housing in our community. And so the process going forward will be to fully evaluate the implementation of these recommendations, which entails a really comprehensive evaluation of the pros and cons. And I think the point of the housing plan was not that everyone agrees on every recommendation, but that's going to be the starting point for a focused discussion going forward to canvass through those options. And, it's just imperative that we act on this. We know that our folks are struggling with the cost of housing, and it absolutely is important to the business community, for people that are worried about being able to hire and retain employees that can afford to live in the community that the business is working in. And also, as more and more of our residents' income goes to housing costs, their rent and mortgage payments, that's leaving less income for our residents to be spending on local businesses. So this is a top priority, and I think the housing plan is the right place to start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Darren Seer, same question. Last month, the City Council passed the Housing Lynn Plan, which contains 5 strategy recommendations and a series of action steps, some of which are more controversial than others. Please elaborate on your approach for addressing the various recommendations within this report.
So I didn't vote for it. I think we should go back to the drawing board, to be perfectly honest with you. It's unfair to every single person that lives in the city. It just gives false hope to people who really need affordable housing. This plan is more about low-income housing. What it does is it manipulates the formula of what affordable housing is. It also puts deed restrictions on buildings or any future development in the city. Less than 0% of the population, 600 people, were included in this decision-making. It was a 2-year process. City Council wasn't even involved in it at all until it was brought in front of the City Council and asked to vote on it. So when we would try to take a look at it to see what it was really about, every obstacle you could think of was put up in front of us. From disparaging editorials that were put in the paper. It's just really an unfair document that was put together. It's just going to raise taxes in Lynn. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. Zome, who's a worldwide developer, came to Lynn and wanted to build a $130 million development in downtown Lynn. So he came in, he was going to sit down with the mayor, and I asked to be a part of that meeting, and the mayor didn't include me in the meeting. And the mayor went about making a deal with Zome that if they were to provide 10% affordable housing in that unit, that they would be able to get a 15-year tax incentive. So Zome went and they took a look at it. And they said they couldn't do it. With a 15-year, that's the best tax incentive we've ever given to anybody. Can I really finish? Because this is important. I'm sorry. So he came back to the Lynn City Council and he asked us if we could give him a 15-year tax incentive because they're the ones that negotiate the tax incentive. And they couldn't even do 5% in that. It will not work. It will prevent development from coming into the city. This is a national issue. There aren't enough federal programs, and I'm sorry, and there aren't enough state programs to work on this. It's not a Lynn problem. If people can't afford to live where they live, why do we got to keep creating more and more affordable housing, which it's low income? They will not be here to support the businesses. I'm sorry I took so much time. You can give Jared more time.
Jared, would you like to make a comment?
Sure, yes, thank you so much. This is a Lynn problem. This is a problem for our Lynn residents that are struggling with the cost of housing. Too much of their paycheck is going to rent, is people who want to buy a home in Lynn are struggling to do so. Lots of folks who have a home in Lynn and want their sons and daughters to be able to come home and build a life here are recognizing this is an issue as well, that there's just not enough housing, that prices are too high, and it's affecting our people, so it is our problem. That doesn't mean that it's also not something that the state and federal government should be working on, and that's the case, and we're going to collaborate with our state and federal partners, but it's something that we need to take responsibility for ourselves. It's just not the case that the City Council was not aware of this plan. The Metropolitan Area Planning Council, the consultants who guided the process, made a presentation to the City Council very early in the process, invited their input, and there were community meetings, public meetings that the City Councilors were invited to, and some did participate and provided helpful, thoughtful feedback. If we are going to tackle this problem, we need to first recognize that it is a problem, something that we need to work on, and we need to move forward and work on those recommendations that we can get behind together. Thank you.
I got to say, it absolutely is a problem in Lynn. And the reason why it's a problem in Lynn is because if you take a look at all the development that's taken place in all the surrounding communities, they've pushed people out of their community because they couldn't afford to live there. So where do they come? They come into Lynn because our rents are lower. And yes, the rents are starting to go up and the housing is starting to go up. That's because the market is starting to go up. You have to really take a look at this and really come up with a real honest-to-God plan so that people that are making $40,000 or $50,000 a year will get real help. You got to stop giving people a handout. You got to give them a hand up. The only way we're going to stop the cycle of poverty is through education and higher-paying jobs. $15 an hour is not enough money for any family to be able to survive. Even if both parents are working and they're making $15 an hour, big deal, $30 an hour, that is not enough money. Those are the fights that we should be fighting. We should come up with programs so that people that are making $40 or $50 an hour that don't qualify for subsidized housing can come up with buying a home. That is our responsibility to do that. But to put a plan together from people who don't even live in the city of Lynn is just so unfair to the taxpayers because that's all it's going to do. We're always taking care of people here in the city of Lynn.
Thank you.
Always.
I am going to ask you guys to conclude on this one. It actually is a good segue into the next question. Darren, this one starts with you. Lynn is situated as the gateway between Greater Boston and the broader North Shore, and is tangential to 3 cities and 4 towns. Please discuss your vision for Lynn as a regional leader, citing any regional initiatives and your role with other elected and municipal leaders.
So we're surrounded by Swampscott, Salem, Saugus, Revere, and the Hart. Small communities. Every time there's a fire, our fire department have to go there and help them respond. If there's a police issue, we usually have to go and send police officers because their police departments aren't big enough to handle situation. It makes sense for us to join forces and become an area, because we take care of exactly what we're just talking about. How much affordable housing are in any one of those communities? How many nonprofit groups are in any of those communities? How many minority people live in those communities? And they got to sit at the table, and they have to become part of what's going on. One of the big issues right now over on the Eastland side of the city is the water that's going out into the ocean down Eastern Ave, Stacy Brook. Swampscott plays a major role in that pollution. So we have to do a better job sitting down with their town leaders and coming up with a solution. We provide services to Saugus, and we provide services to Swampscott through our water and sewer system. So it absolutely makes sense to sit at the table and have regional meetings that are including the business community, to see how we all can benefit from that. Plowing our streets, fixing our streets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jared, same question. Lynn is situated as the gateway between Greater Boston and the broader North Shore and is tangential to 3 cities and 4 towns. Please discuss your vision for Lynn as a regional leader, citing any regional initiatives and your role with other elected and municipal leaders.
Thank you. Lynn should absolutely assert leadership in the region and be collaborating closely with our surrounding communities. And I think that the mayor plays a really important part in that. You know, one I think basic issue that's really obvious and ripe for collaboration is around transportation. And I think that we need to be pushing for improved public transportation for the city of Lynn. This is not something that the mayor controls directly. But that's why it's so important to build these collaborative relationships with surrounding communities so that we can build the plans, make the cases to the folks that do make these decisions. So one good example there is the electrification of the commuter rail. To provide something nearing the sort of rapid transit that we've been sort of looking for in this community, where trains can run more frequently, they can do it cleaner, they can do it more efficiently, and then combining that with the fare equity, that piece that we should be adding to the commuter rail, because it's just not right that it costs $15 round trip from Lynn to Boston, and you drive 5 minutes to Revere, and it's $4 round trip on the Blue Line. We can have something that's approaching rapid transit, and that's going to require making the case to the MBTA. I submitted testimony last spring to the Fiscal and Management Control Board when that was running the MBTA in support of the electrification of the commuter rail. And part of the work as mayor is to build out that team, working with our state delegation who's provided real leadership on issues like this, specifically in that electrification of the commuter rail. But that's an example of the kind of issue that we want to tackle together. Particularly with the infrastructure opportunity that we're going to be having, the once-in-a-generation investment that we should be able to be making in our city's infrastructure. We're going to be well served by collaborating with our community that surround us, because infrastructure is across multiple communities, and we need a mayor who's in that position to step up and collaborate. I've worked, for example, the housing plan was done in conjunction with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. That's the regional planning agency, and that kind of collaboration is critical for our work as mayor.
Thank you so much. Jared, this next question starts with you. Municipalities can utilize tax tools such as TIFs, ties, and HDIPs to incentivize business investment. As mayor, how would you utilize these tools to spur economic development in the city? Please comment on a more conservative versus a more aggressive approach, and cite any specific industries you may seek to target.
Great. So I think that tax incentives are one tool in the development toolbox. There's others as well. I mean, I think one of the most important things that local government can do in support of growth is to get the basics right and invite businesses, invite the community to build on top of that. So that's infrastructure, education, public safety, and to create the foundation for an attractive community that people are going to want to invest in and be a part of. The tax incentives are another tool. What's really important when you're talking about the tax incentives is to have transparency, to have clear community benefits, to have accountability. But it's absolutely part of the conversation. And I think in terms of targets for growth, I think we have an opportunity to be thinking about some of the commercial growth that we know that we're missing in the city. And one area, one industry in particular that I think we need to be pushing for is in the area of life sciences. We sit 10 miles from one of the life sciences capitals of the world, an industry that's absolutely booming, that has filled up Kendall Square, that has filled up the seaport, that is going to Watertown, that is going to Waltham, and we should absolutely be making a play for an industry like that. And there's a lot that local government can do to support those kinds of efforts to attract those kinds of employers. I think there's a lot of potential in collaboration with the folks at GE to support what's going on there as more contracts are being brought to that plant, and it's working specifically on workforce development. GE has recognized this opportunity, so has the state, in investing in the gem that we have at Lynn Tech and the machining program there to prepare people for good paying jobs. And that's another area where I see is ripe for the pursuit of the kind of commercial growth that we really need in the city, and is going to create jobs and take pressure off of residential taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Darren Seer, the same question. Municipalities can use tax tools such as TIFs, ties, and HDIPs to incentivize business investment. As mayor, how would you utilize these tools to spur economic development in the city? Please comment on a more conservative versus a more aggressive approach, and cite any specific industries you may seek to target.
So, as council president and city councilors, we are the ones that sit down and negotiate those tax deals. The mayor should be a part of that, should play a role in it, but it's a joint effort. And the council has already done that, and I'm going to use two examples. Monroe Street. It's a $100 million project. It's being built on a piece of land that prior to it being built on would generate roughly about $30,000 in taxes over a several-year period. The building permit alone was $1 million that goes into the general fund. They've already started. It's about 70% occupied right now. Another one that we did is, I'm going to call it the Harbor North site, which used to be the Beacon Chevrolet site. So as an example as to, by us doing what we did there, a month ago, they put 100 units out for rent. And within a week, they had 60 of them rented. The average income of people going into those units was over $160,000. Because of those two tax incentives that we gave, there's about roughly $500 million worth of development that's happening as I speak right now in downtown Lynn. That's huge. It's generating jobs. It's generating tax revenues. It's bringing more revenue into the city. It's bringing people with disposable incomes that are supporting the businesses in the downtown area. We really do have such an opportunity in our city for development. It's going to create such an industry in our city. It's going to create high-paying jobs. And it's going to help us so we can build new schools. And it's going to help us to level fund our tax base with the homeowners and the businesses.
Thank you. Darren Seer, this question starts with you. The City of Lynn, with the support of the business community, has recently established a planning department. Please discuss your vision for the future of this office, and as mayor, how would you utilize it?
So, again, this was, council wanted to play a role in it. Granted that the planners originally came in from grants from different community, from the business community, and it was supposed to be a 3-year grant. Last year, we created an ordinance to create a full-time, on the city council, to create a full-time planning department. We should utilize them in every way possible. We're talking about building a master plan for the city of Lynn, that we're talking about it right now. But I've asked the planning department to wait till after the election, because there are obviously two visions that I can see that our city could go in. There's my vision and there's Jared's vision. So I want to wait till after the election to start sitting down with the planning department to plan the next 20-year plan for our city. I also want to use them. I want to create a harbor planner, a planner that oversees our harbor. At one time, we used to have one. We haven't had one for years, many years. EDIC's got to get more involved with the planning department, but the planning department has to also give updates to the city council, to the business community. We have to have monthly meetings, bringing people in, as I said earlier, because there are so many different issues, and I don't know if we're going to be able to fix them all right away, but at least we got to give everybody the opportunity to sit at the table and discuss what's going on in our city. Look at the condition of our roads. Look at the condition of downtown. Boston Street, it's deplorable. We can do a better job, and I will do a better job.
Thank you so much. Jared Nicholson, same question. The City of Lynn, with the support of the business community, has recently established a planning department. Please discuss your vision for the future of this office, and as mayor, how would you utilize it?
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate the support of the business community that got this ball rolling. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm strongly in support of having a planning department, having a permanently established planning department, and utilizing the planning department for the city. I think that with the coming opportunity that we have in Lynn, with the coming infrastructure funding, with the opportunity that we have for growth and private investment and development, having a planning department and fully utilizing it is going to be crucial to making sure that that growth benefits the city and benefits the people in the city. You know, one area where planners are going to be really useful and have already started working is in the downtown and activating downtown businesses, small businesses, bringing them in to participate in the planning process about what downtown can be. The waterfront's another example of an opportunity that we have in Lynn that's going to require a lot of planning and coordination across state and federal partners, and working with larger developers to make the most of those opportunities there. I think transportation is another area that's going to require a lot of coordination, and something we want to work with the planning department to make sure that we're making the most of our opportunities for public transportation, and with the use of the infrastructure funds that are coming, we're making the right improvements to our traffic patterns to make sure that it's easier to get around the city. Because I believe that we have a tremendous opportunity for growth. And one of the keys to making the most of that opportunity is to making sure that the growth happens in the right way that benefits everyone, where you have a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. And planning is a crucial part of that. So that's great, we're going to have development. Let's also think through early in the process about the impact that's going to have on our infrastructure, on our traffic, on our on the environment, on parking. And the planning department can play a really crucial role. And then, you know, it's listening to the planning department. The planning department was involved in the support and development of the housing plan. And the planners can help us recognize what our community needs are. And I think it's going to be crucial that the next mayor is willing to utilize that planning department.
Thank you. Jared Nicholson, again, this question's for you. Public safety has been cited as a primary concern by many members of the business community. Please discuss your plans for public safety and your vision of policing.
Thank you so much. I absolutely agree and believe that peace is a fundamental goal for everyone in our community. That we see that as something that we all want and want to work towards together. And it's really sort of a precondition for the kind of opportunity that we're talking about that we have in Lynn for growth. That particularly for our next generation, for my son's generation, that we have peace in the community. And public safety is crucial to delivering that goal. So I think one of the big needs that we have in Lynn to address some of the issues that we have in the city is more services around mental health coordination and really addressing some of the underlying needs that folks have early when they present, so that we can avoid issues down the road. I think that's something that involves public safety. It also involves other stakeholders, our mental health service providers. My campaign has put forward a vision specifically on better mental health. And I think that's got to be a focus area when thinking about improved public safety. You know, along those lines, I think one of the developments we've had over the last year is some real close collaboration with the current mayor, the Lynn Police Department, and the Lynn Racial Justice Coalition. And working together, people have sort of come together and really made progress on some really difficult issues towards that ultimate goal of more peace in the community. One of the products of that collaboration is a proposed pilot that was funded in the current council budget for a unarmed crisis response team, the acronym of the ALERT team. And I strongly support that initiative. I think it's another opportunity to grow the team that we have working on public safety issues in close coordination with the Lynn Police Department, in close coordination with the community, so that we have the folks that we need to get at these underlying issues to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Darren Seer, same question. Public safety has been cited as a primary concern by many members of the business community. Please discuss your plans for public safety and your vision of policing.
So, start right off, I'm not about defunding the police. I do have a lot of questions about unarmed response teams. I am in favor of putting more funding towards training for police officers. We do have a large community of people who have drug issues, alcohol issues, mental health issues, so we got to work better with the people that provide services in the city to help those people. But we need to hire more police officers, and that's what I'm in favor of. We've hired 27 new police officers. We have an older police force. We went for roughly probably 10 or 12 years where when we lost the police officer, we didn't replace that police officer. Meaning that when they retired or moved to another city, town, whatever it may have been. I am 100% in favor of walking beats throughout the downtown area. Right now, we've started doing community meetings where the police officers come into different communities, senior housing, businesses, having monthly meetings throughout the downtown area. We have some very serious issues that have arisen over the last 4 or 5 years. We have very large homeless population. You walk down Union Street and there's prostitution going on down there during daylight hours. Needles in suburb neighborhoods on side streets. So we've got to go back to some of the old ways of policing, but we also have to do some better jobs with training and learning about how to deal with people that have alcohol and drug problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Darren, this next question starts with you. What are some specific ways the city could leverage technology for the betterment of the business community, and how committed are you to implementing technological change within City Hall?
So everything now is technical. There's no doubt about it. I'm not good at it. So what I would do is hire the best professional people to be able to come in and come up with a plan that would support the city. I agree. I mean, we have right here in Lynn, there's a cable that runs from Ireland, that runs into Lynn, that brings all the information from Europe and from America, and it goes back and forth, and it's right here in Lynn. I agree about life sciences. I've been talking to different property owners in the city about bringing life sciences into our community. Right now, we have on the table a business wants a special permit, which I am not in favor of. It would bring jobs, but it wouldn't bring high enough paying jobs. I'd rather see some type of life science services come here to the city. The type of jobs that I want to see, $75,000 to $100,000 a year jobs. The GE used to be the center of the jobs for the city. You can make $75,000, $100,000 a year working there. Now Lynn has become a service city industry. We're no longer blue collar or white collar. I want to try to bring that back to where it was. I think we can do that through development. And I think once we start bringing more development in down along the Lynnway in that area, that some of the life science companies will start taking a look, because the thing now is that they want to create village atmospheres where people can work and live in the same walk to work like they did 40, 50 years ago. So that's where the city planner would come in, be able to work with them. Also, the harbor planner would be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jared Nicholson, same question. What are some specific ways the city could leverage technology for the betterment of the business community? And how committed are you to implementing technological change within City Hall?
Thank you. I would say that I'm very committed to implementing technological change in City Hall. I think that, we're talking about the opportunity we have to improve our city's infrastructure. We should also be thinking about our digital infrastructure as a community. I think the first and most obvious place where the city needs to improve the use of technology is the city's website. If you've used the city's website recently, you can see that it can be difficult to find information. It can be difficult to submit information, to know where you need to go. The city's website needs to be overhauled. If the City Hall is our physical presence in the community, and we care about having a City Hall that presents well, the city's website is our digital presence in the community, and it actually absolutely needs to be upgraded so that it can serve that purpose. Another area for technology that the city should be involved in is thinking about access to Wi-Fi, to making sure that everyone is connected. It's an education issue for our students to be able to. We discovered in the last couple of years for learning remotely, but even going forward with people in school about being able to do homework and accessing the right information that they need. It's also an economic development issue. When you look around the city and see the businesses that were able to pivot, to figure out how to do their business online, to set up those online ordering, to get their toast menu on their website, there's a divide in sort of who has access to that. It's a resource issue, it's a knowledge issue, it's a cultural issue, and the city should absolutely be involved in making sure that small businesses get the access to technology that they need, and the city can be helpful in those conversations. I think another important area for the city is around social media and being able to get out there to reach people where they're at. You know, we talk about the importance of planning. A big part of planning is getting out and getting community input, including the input from the business community, and making it easier to reach City Hall, to interact with City Hall is really important, and technology offers a great way to do that.
Thank you very much. Jared, this next question starts with you. Discuss your plans for business growth over the next decade. Please include comments on any specific business sectors and plans for attracting, training, and retaining a workforce to support this growth.
Great, thank you so much. So I think that there's tremendous opportunities for Lynn, and connecting our pursuit of better jobs for Lynn residents with our education system, with workforce development, is really crucial to unlocking that opportunity. And it requires collaboration. A lot of workforce development. There's a lot of agencies involved, from the state agencies that work under labor and workforce development, to the higher education system, North Shore Community College, Salem State, to our K through 12 system, particularly with Lynn Tech and the other high schools as well. And we definitely want to be thoughtful about how to create a pipeline of talented, educated workers to as a way to attract businesses, investments. Say, come to Lynn because our workforce is prepared to meet your needs to hire. And so, this is something that we've been getting at through the Lynn Public Schools. With Lynn Tech, obviously has a lot of experience preparing students to enter the workforce right away, and to growing that effort to include pipelines through higher education, through partnerships with North Shore and Salem State, to say, if you're interested in healthcare, this is a program that you can follow, where you can get off at any point if you realize, you're done with school, or you need to take a break from school. But there's a point for you to get back on as well and continue your education towards higher paying jobs in that industry. Healthcare, technology, education. One of the needs we have in Lynn is to hire a more diverse workforce that reflects our student population, and those kind of pipelines are really important. On the industry end, I mentioned the GE is a place for us to have those conversations on workforce development. Life sciences, I think, is another important opportunity. And then, supporting small local businesses. I think one of the industries that we have in Lynn that a lot of us are really proud of is the diverse culinary offerings, the diverse food businesses we have. And I think that there's more the city can be doing, like offering, working together with the community to provide a commercial kitchen to support that industry, to support new businesses that want to enter that field. Thank you.
Thank you. Darren Seer, the same question. Please discuss your plans for business growth over the next decade. Please include comments on any specific business sectors and plans for attracting, training, and retaining a workforce to support this growth.
So I really do believe, and I said it earlier about education, breaking the cycle of poverty in the city of Lynn. That's the biggest issue that we have. We're not preparing our kids at an early enough age. We're just trying to get them graduated and into the next class. Our schools are so overpopulated that the kids aren't really benefiting from going to some of these schools. So what I'd like to see is that we build schools like Marshall Middle School, a high-tech school. You have to create a school that has climate control in it, that gives them every opportunity, from science labs to music rooms to media rooms, so that they can see what the future can hold. Not every child is going to go to college. And we have to take a look at that and help train those kids, whether they go into the trades, preparing them for a job, or whether they're going to go to college. And as I said earlier, that one of the biggest industries I see for the city of Lynn, and I'm talking billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of development that can happen in Lynn over the next 40 to 50 years. Right now, we're in discussions with two different developers. One's a $500 million project, and others a $400 million project. And both of them would create destination sites. So I think we got to do a better job in our schools, sitting down with Salem State, North Shore Community College is another example of they're starting to get more involved in our community. We had a discussion last night about being able to set up classes for immigrants that are coming into the city so that they can learn how to, using the COVID money, learning how to speak English, but also training their children so that they can speak their language as well.
Thank you guys so much for entertaining all of our questions. At this moment, we're going to move to the next phase where we're going to ask the candidates to ask the opposing candidates a question. It's going to be 1 minute to ask the question, 2 to 3 minutes to respond. To follow the order, we're going to start with Darren Seer asking Jared Nicholson a question.
I never think about asking Jared a question, to be honest with you. Because as I said, we have two different visions. What's your vision of the city of Lynn in 20 years?
Thank you, Councilor Seer, for the question. So my vision for Lynn is growth that benefits the whole city, that includes all of us. So I think a big part of that we've been talking about today is better jobs, creating opportunities for people to get into higher paying jobs and support those kinds of pathways, to support small local businesses as a strategy for inclusive growth. It's about better housing, doing something about the rising cost of housing to make sure that the people here now can afford to stay and enjoy the growth that we hope is coming. It's about better schools, including building new schools, better infrastructure, fixing the city's roads and sidewalks, updating the city's buildings and equipment, pursuing rapid transit as a strategy for growth and for our residents, a new senior center in the city, which I think is a really important priority, and it's about more peace in the community, because like I said, I think peace is a precondition for opportunity, and I think one of the keys for this vision is building it together. You know, we've had a lot of opportunities over the course of the campaign to get input from folks about what they see for the future of the city, but that's going to continue to grow and evolve, and that's why it's so important to be building this vision with the support of the planning department, to be able to have the tools that we need to actually build it together, to bring people in so that we can have their input reflected. I think we have a tremendous opportunity in the city of Lynn, not just with the infrastructure money that's coming, but also with the potential for growth on the waterfront, in the downtowns, in the neighborhoods. And I think to really make the most of that opportunity, to make it meaningful, we want to make sure that everybody is included. And ultimately, I think that's what unlocks the long-term potential that we have in the city that we all know and love. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Jared Nicholson, your question for Darren Seer.
Well, I thought that Councilor Seer asked a very fair and fruitful question, so I would like to ask him the same question about what is your vision for the city of Lynn, Councilor Seer?
Thank you. So my vision is to see, at least in the next 20 years, a half a dozen brand new schools in the city of Lynn. Fix our infrastructure. Hotels on the Lynnway. Clean streets. A safe city. A police force. A place where people are proud where they come from. To get rid of the reputation of Lynn. To make it the best possible place for all of us to live. I want my kids to be living here in 20 years, raising their families. I don't want them to move out of the city. I want to create a real affordable housing plan, a program where people that can't go into a bank and qualify for a home because they don't have enough money, they don't have a down payment, they don't have a credit history. So to come up with a program, how would I pay for that program? Linkage with developers. We need to build new firehouses in the city. My big thing is downtown, Union Street, cleaning it up, making it so that it becomes a destination point, not just for the people who live in the city, but people from other communities. As I said, that I am talking with two different developers that are willing to put close to $1 billion on the Lynnway right now. And both of those sites would become destination sites. I've lived here my entire life. I've heard about the Blue Line coming here, and with all due respect, the electrifying the train. The problem is the cost. We're looking at 25 to 50 years before that is even done. But I want to see a ferry on the Lynnway. I want to fix the bike lanes that we have in the city and the bus lanes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes the questions. Now we'd just like to ask the candidates to tell us why we should be voting for you. So we're going to start with Darren Seer.
Thank you. I've lived here my whole life. I say that all the time. 62 years. I've been all around the world. I've seen a lot of different cities and towns. Lynn is the most diversified city that I have ever been in. And when I say I've lived the Lynn life experience, it's because I've met so many people of so many different colors and nationalities and religions. And I've made so many long-lasting life friendships. I have friends from when I was 4 or 5 years old that I still hang around with. I even hang around with Jim LaManna sometimes. But I don't think anybody can say, and I'm not saying that I love it the most, but love Lynn more than I do. I just want to see it thrive. I want to see it be the best it possibly can be. And through all my years of experience being volunteering my time in the community, being on the city council, working in the mayor's office, and seeing all the different politicians who have come along and talk about change, but yet we still go down the same road all the time. I am not going to use this as a stepping stone. This is it. I really never had any intention of running for mayor. My plan was to retire in a couple of years. I'm not going to make any more money as mayor as I'm making right now. But if I do become mayor, I have an 8-year plan. I really do. And I guarantee you, and I don't make promises unless I can keep them, you will see a better, cleaner city, and you will see a city with hotels on the Linway in 4 years. You will see new schools being built. Not just Pickering, but I'm talking about 14 of the 100-plus-year-old schools that we have in the city. And you will see the start of all of that in the next 4 years. I guarantee that. You can ask anybody. I always stand up. And I don't go around bragging about myself, but my leadership during the pandemic, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, the businesses community that came out in support and helped us, I mean, that just proves what I'm capable of doing. We fed over 1,500 people a day for a year, created over 10 million meals, got their medicines, people that were shut-ins, locked in. I mean, I chose to raise my family here. I'm not going here no matter what happens. Please remember to vote for me on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared Nicholson.
Thank you so much, and thank you again to the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you, Colin, for the questions, and Councilor Seer for your question as well. I am running for mayor to provide leadership for inclusive growth. And I'm asking for your vote because I believe that I have the skills and experience to provide that leadership for inclusive growth, and because of the vision that we're building together on this community. We've had thousands of conversations with the voters all over the city over the course of this campaign, and I've been honored to be able to get people's thoughts and input to put this vision forward with our campaign about making sure that we grow and make the most of this moment that we have, and we do it in a way that benefits everyone, that's inclusive, that we put our best foot forward and really take advantage of the opportunities that we're going to have with the infrastructure funding that's coming our way, with the private development that we already see starting to take root, to build in the positive momentum that we have in the community for things that are going well, and to address those long-standing issues. It has been a really difficult year and a half, 2 years, for a lot of reasons, for the lives that we've lost in our community, for the sacrifices that the frontline healthcare workers, like my wife, like other essential workers, have made to keep us safe and to keep us going. The impact that it's had on small businesses who have been closed, reduced capacity, had to totally change their business model overnight and then over again. And I think we need to continue to keep our eye on the ongoing public health situation, reflect on lessons learned so that we're ready next time, and then make the most of this opportunity to recover to bounce back, to take advantage of the momentum that we have, and to do it in a way that's inclusive, that makes up for the people that were disproportionately impacted during the pandemic, whose businesses were pulled out from under them, to do it in a way that brings all of us along together. And I believe that I have the forward-thinking leadership, the vision that will allow us to do that working together. So it's been an honor for me to run this campaign, to work with the Lynn Chamber over the years on issues that affect small businesses, and it will be a supreme honor to be able to serve as your mayor, as our mayor. I'm so excited about this city. Ultimately, I want Lynn to be a place where Henry, my son, who's going to be 2 next week, is prepared to go anywhere in the world, and that is inspired to love it here. Thank you so much.
So that concludes our program. I've learned long ago that to make a good event, you need good food and to end on time. I said 10 o'clock. We're out of here before 10 o'clock. A quick round of applause for our hosts, the facility and the delicious breakfast that they provided us today. And a huge round of applause for our 2 candidates.